right, everybody, welcome to Read the Line Celebrity Insider Show. Today, we have a true Masters insider. Steve Scott played in the 1997 Masters, the 61st Masters. You know who else played in that Masters? Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, and, of course, the one and only Tiger Woods. And maybe he'll play this week, maybe he won't. I don't know. We'll get into that later. But for right now, Steve Scott, welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us.
No, great to be with you. Thanks, Keith.
All right, real quick. 1997, you roll down Magnolia Lane. What was your first impression of Augusta National Golf Club being there to play?
Oh, just the most perfect place you could ever think about playing golf. It's like Disney World for golf. I wrote an article for Golf Week this week that'll come out. It's just like that's how I described it. They give you brand new courtesy cars. I mean, I was 19 years old driving down Magnolia Lane in a brand new white Cadillac. I mean, like,
Great.
you kidding me? I mean, it was like a dream come true.
That's so cool. Now, let's rewind a couple weeks prior to you going to play in it. You knew the golf course. You grew up watching golf at the Masters, right? Augusta National Golf Club. Did you prepare anything in your game in particular to get ready for that golf course or just get everything ready?
Well, I went there about a month before just to get a sense of, the shapes of the shots to hit off the holes. And the green speeds are nothing like they are during tournament week. And they change even dramatically from Monday to Thursday. And so you really don't get a sense. And that's why players who have a lot of history there usually play well because they know what's about to smack them in the face. I mean, on Monday or Tuesday, the ball does not roll back into the pond on 15. It doesn't, they just put those extra touches and cut it and roll it and shave it, and it's like a whole different golf course. I mean, they close the golf course at about 2 o'clock on that Wednesday afternoon. Everybody goes to play the par three, and then they get on the big course. I think it was just a great way for them to get on the golf course and do those extra fine-tuned preparations to get ready to go and get that golf course as fast as they could get it.
Well, there's no doubt that the guys are fine tuning their games for this week. It's a much more modern time with the equipment, the ball, the length of the golf course, and everything. What do you think it takes this week in the modern player and the 2022 player to contend at Augusta National?
Well, what it takes a lot of patience. It takes a definite know-how of the perfect strategy to play. And I think that's why you saw somebody like in the late 90s, Jack Nicklaus, 57, 58 years old. I mean, he contended. Freddie Couples, we've seen him contend there. Bernhard Langer contend
Yeah.
into their late 50s, into their 60s, because you have to, it's like being an amazing blackjack player or craps, but you understand the odds at every given point and every given spot on that golf course. And I think that that's why those sort of players play well, and that's why Tiger thinks he can come out here and go and compete against the guys who maybe don't have quite that experience there. Up to this year, they haven't been able. They've never used any of those green reading books with all the arrows and everything. So history again plays an advantage there this year. Obviously, on tour, you can't use them at all, the green reading books. But yeah, history at Augusta, understanding all the angles, that's really key there.
You know, I remember, so we've been friends a long time. And I remember one time you were telling me a story about the Masters. And I know you were talking to Jack Nicklaus. I don't remember what the context was, but he said you don't read the greens at Augusta. You, what was the end of that?
You remember them.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, you just I had a putt when I was playing a practice round with Jack, and it was a Tuesday afternoon, and we had a putt on the ninth hole, and I could have sworn this putt was going to break 6 inches left to right, and the thing broke 6 inches right to left, and it just kind of befuddled me. But he told me that it was going to break left, and so I listened to him. And he had a few more green jackets than I did, and lo and behold, made the 30 footer, and it was just that's the sort of thing that you really need there at Augusta. You definitely have to remember them.
All right. So experience is a factor, and we know that it's going to be a long golf course. Do you think, being great off the tee matters? Everybody always talks about it being a second shot golf course, but man, that place is long. Do you like a longer player here?
I think you'll see a long. They're supposed to get a lot of rain, and the weather's going to be cool, so it really plays into the hands of the long hitter, like a lot of the weeks do on the PGA Tour, week in and week out. But this venue being over 7,500 yards, I mean, that really puts it in the top. 5 longest golf courses these players are going to see all year. And so the ability for a player, like a Scotty Scheffler who bombs it out there, hits it super high. You don't necessarily have to putt unbelievably to win the Masters, but you definitely have to strike your ball. Being a long hitter, a definite prerequisite.
All right, so you mentioned Scotty Scheffler, number one player in the world. When you start to look at the odds board, I don't even think the betting operators know who's going to win. They've got 7 guys listed under plus 2,000, which is 20 to 1, right? You've got Rahm, JT, Scheffler, all of these guys. Of those favorites, Morikawa, Brooksy, who do you like so far this week in order to put on that green jacket come Sunday?
A couple guys I really shoot for. I mean, Colin Morikawa, I think he's got the entire package. He's certainly got a couple major championships, so he's not trying to win his first. So you can't overlook him, one of the greatest iron players out there. You can't overlook, certainly Scotty Scheffler has been on a tear this year. Does he have quite the experience around Augusta? That's left to be told, but there's other guys. I mean, you think of Dustin Johnson. He hasn't played a whole lot on tour this year, but he shot 63 in the final round at the Players. Darn near he got to the semifinals of the Dell Match Play. So, he's trending pretty well, and he hasn't played a lot, so he's got to be pretty fresh and a past champion there, too. So, a few of those guys are definitely a few that I have my eyes on.
Well, I know you've had your eyes on these guys for a while because you work for PGA Tour Live. So you see them week in and week out. And one of the things that concerns me, 2 of the heavy favorites are JT and Rahm, and they haven't won yet this year. Do you think that's a big deal, or do you think they can do it here?
Well, I think it is kind of a big deal. I mean, I think that seeing some success and really feeling the winner's circle in recent times, I think is important. You take a guy like Cameron Smith. I mean, he won arguably the biggest tournament, the non-major out there, the Players Championship a few weeks ago. He did it mostly with a great putter, though. I mean, he hits it pretty solidly. He's finished runner-up here at Augusta, so he knocked on the door back when it was the fall event when Dustin Johnson won. So, he can handle. That was a longer golf course back then. They didn't get a lot of run in the fall back in 2020. So, Cam Smith feeling pretty good. I think he's got a lot of confidence he's riding and knows the golf course and the strategy pretty well. So you can't overlook a guy like that. I mean, look, John Rahm, Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas he's on most guys' targets as far as who's going to win this thing for sure. But yeah, it's anybody's ball game. They've got to get it done. They've got to. Justin Thomas hasn't won. He's won one major. He won at Quail Hollow in the PGA a few years back, but he hasn't quite finished the deal.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And, you brought up Cam Smith, who just a couple years ago wasn't on anybody's radar. Is there a guy like that you see further down the field that maybe has caught your eye early this season on PGA Tour Live coverage that maybe he's not going to be a super long shot because he's in the field, but more of a middle tier player, but it's a long shot versus these guys that could contend this weekend?
Well, here's a guy who doesn't jump out on anybody's radar screens, but all the stats really show that he is primed up, really ready to go. Tom Hoge, he was your winner at the AT&T Pebble Beach. Now, I know Tom Hoge, you're thinking compared to all these guys. Well, his iron play game is so solid. To win at Pebble Beach, the smallest greens on the PGA Tour, you have to really dial in your iron game. So, and he's also second in scoring average on the par threes as well. So, his iron game is on point. You have to hit it in small little tiers of the greens at Augusta National. So you have to pick somebody whose iron game is super tight and their proximity to the hole numbers are really good. Tom Hoge really is, he points to that guy in a lot of ways.
Hey, I tell you what, if you're watching this, and even if you don't think Tom Hoge can win, right there's a huge endorsement for a top 20, maybe even a top 10, and you'll get paid well on that because he's further down the board. Now, speaking of the elephant, strike that, the goat in the room, right? He's been prowling the campus all week. Do you think Tiger will play?
I think he's going to play. I mean, it would shock me at this point to see everything he's put into it thus far, all the preparation, all the work. He's out there right now. He's out there grinding away, and he's got a new pair of shoes on. He wants the stability. He's thought of all these things. I'm sure he's got all the team behind the scenes. It looks like everybody's going to get a day off on Tuesday. It's going to rain probably the whole entire day there, so They might not even open the golf course. Which may play into Tiger's hands just fine. But It's look. I wouldn't put anything past the guy. I know you have talked with him and known him from your Isleworth days, and you wouldn't put anything past him either. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise us anybody if he went out there and finished top five or thought he could win. So you never know.
Yeah, so that I mean that begs the next question. Obviously, he makes the cut. I mean, he's played there 21 times as a pro. He's never missed the cut. He makes the cut. There's a ton of Tiger props out there. I think you and I would both be in the camp that thinks he's going to shoot a decent score, don't you think?
Well, you would think so. I mean, look, it's a golf course. When you have that much familiarity with a golf course, you go around it. No matter, he hasn't played in what 16 months competitively. So, but he has these familiar feelings and familiar vibes at every corner, and he knows the greens better than anybody,
Yeah.
and he's got the experience. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if he did something that was unthinkable.
Now, you're a PGA professional. Your whole life's been involved in the game of golf. Everybody has a special place in their heart for the Masters, right? What does Steve Scott love most about the Masters?
Well, the Masters, I mean, it's the start of the official start of the golf season, right? All these other events feel like warm-up events, even though they're not. There's a lot of very important events that have led up to this, but the history really plays into it. Bobby Jones, I mean, they have all the Champions Dinner, the Amateur Dinner, all the hoopla that surrounds it. It's the hottest ticket in sports, certainly on the golf side. And
Yeah.
everybody wants to be there, but it's just really that start of spring that everybody wants to be a part of and see, and it really gets everybody enthused. Just even thinking about it, just to get enthused about getting on the golf course and going to play.
Well, I'll tell you what, I agree with you. My favorite part about the Masters year after year is stories like you in 1997. I love that there's amateurs that can earn their way into a field like that. And I also love that the past champions can pretty much play out their career there. Freddie Couples is still playing. Bernard Longer will probably make the cut or something crazy. And then there's a Stu Hagstad or there's a Steve Scott in the field, and there's a really cool story. To me, as a lover of the game of golf, to me, that's my favorite part. And you know what, Steve? I know you enjoy it just as much as I do. So get to it. Let's get out of this and let's go watch the Masters. Thanks so much for being on Read the Line.
You got it. Thank you, Keith. Really appreciate it.